Hey everybody, welcome back to Backlog Banter. I'm your boy Abram, joined as usual by Tucker Hazel. And I thought, Tucker, I thought we were done with the big breaking news for the day when we talked
Uh-uh.
about 3D World and Bowser's Fury this morning, but no.
Nope.
Out of nowhere, literally out of thin air, and basically still in thin air,
Mhm.
was the announcement from Bethesda and Machine Games, developer of the really great Wolfenstein titles, that the two of them, that little duo right there, is working on an Indiana Jones game.
Yep.
And in the words of the tweet that announced it, we will not have information to share for a long time. So,
Yeah.
Tucker, that's a game that's coming. How you feeling?
Yeah, so I saw this in a quote tweet from someone else a few
Yeah.
minutes after it happened, and I was like, no, that doesn't sound right. Like that's not true. And then I watched the teaser trailer and I heard like the really soft Indiana Jones theme in the
Yeah.
background. And then it pans over and you got Machine Games on the typewriter and you got that pickup of the hat with the whip underneath. And I did get my vibe check goosebumps from that.
It's a good teaser,
It's
for
a
sure.
really good
It's a good
teaser
teaser.
trailer. And I do think that an Indiana Jones game with actual budget behind it has a lot of potential, especially from as talented of a team as Machine Games. However, and I think this is what the crux of our discussion here is going to be, is this is announced probably really too early.
This game is unfortunately in my crosshairs because it's emblematic of a bigger trend that I really fucking hate. But before we spin off into that, I think that this game, like you said, has a lot of potential.
Yeah.
I think Machine Games makes excellent titles. Um, I really love, especially New Order and New Colossus. Those are both
Yeah.
phenomenal narrative shooters. Some of my favorite games of all time. And I really do like Indiana Jones. I used to like it more when I was younger, watching films when I'm a little bit older. They're fun
Yeah.
action adventure movies, but they don't hold the sort of weight for me that they hold for a lot of people. But I do enjoy them, and I think that the premise of this is very cool. In,
Yes.
in, in all honesty, at the same time, Machine Games narrative shooters, first person narrative shooters, that doesn't scream Indiana Jones to me at all. Like we recently
Hmm.
learned that IO Interactive is making a 007 game, and that's a
Yeah.
mesh that I can see better.
Of
Yeah, of
course.
course they'd have to pivot what they do with Hitman a little bit to fit Bond, but I can see that. I don't immediately see Machine Games Indiana Jones, which is why I think it's a compelling team,
Hmm.
but they showed us fuck all. So I don't know. I have no thoughts on the game itself other than the fact that I like Machine Games.
Hmm.
I like Indiana Jones.
Just hope they mesh together. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
we don't
honestly, I
know.
do I do think it's entirely possible. I'm not personally familiar with anything else that Machine Games has developed. I mean, I'm
I'm
sure
not either.
that's not all that they've developed, but I do think it's. I mean, why not? Why not give them a chance to try something a little bit different? It's probably still going to be obviously action oriented, set
Yeah.
pieces, stuff like that. I'm sure there will be gunplay because even though he's mostly with a whip, Indiana Jones can use a gun, or maybe they could just pivot away from that and find a way to make whip combat interesting, or maybe you don't even shoot. Who knows? But I think that them trying something different could be cool, and clearly they do have the talent to make a solid adventure game. So I'm not worried about the mesh of the development team and the IP, but I think it could be cool.
Yeah, and we can do a lot of thinking and a lot of speculation, but the fact of the matter is that there is no other entertainment industry that is so fixated on generating hype
Hmm.
solely for the purpose of hype carrying a game's marketing, whatever.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, here's a song, and hey, here's a name, and here's a tweet.
Hmm.
What am I supposed to do with that? I've really become frustrated, especially when Cyberpunk's so blatant. Because here's the problem: this is a different discussion. But what CD Projekt Red did with Cyberpunk was egregious, but it was only facilitated by the fact that they overtly exploited what everybody else implicitly exploits.
Hmm.
Hype, random influencers popping off on Twitter going,
Yeah.
"Oh, emoji, smiley face, wow, Indiana Jones, machine games." It's all smoke and mirrors, and it's fucking frustrating.
Yeah.
Because maybe we'll see when E3 time rolls around, and we'll probably just get digital press conferences again from
Of
everybody. I
course.
doubt we're
Yeah.
actually going to be at the Los Angeles Convention Center. But when Bethesda's like, okay, here is a trailer for the game. And by the way, the message, the wording and messaging of that tweet suggests to me we might not even see it at E3. We might
No.
not even see that.
And honestly, I don't think that we will, mostly
Yeah.
because as far as I know, the formation of the Lucasfilms games or something like that, Lucas Games, I don't remember what it's called, branding and company was just done not like less than a week ago or something like that. Of course, there could have been behind the scenes deals, but the fact that this is their first major project means that I feel like they're just getting their foot into the door, say, hey, something is coming, but it's not going to be for a while.
Yeah, so Lucas Game, as the time we're recording this, Lucasfilm Games was formed as the umbrella yesterday, and they
Okay,
released
yes.
a sizzle reel with all of these Star Wars projects that they have under this umbrella.
Mm-hmm.
And now Indiana Jones too. And this is cool. I mean, LucasArts used to have Star Wars and Indiana Jones and
Sure.
fucking Day of the Tentacle and all kinds of stuff. So we're seeing this sort of reformation, and that's probably why this trailer happened. But there's nothing to go off of, and there's no reason to be really talking about this game even because it's not nothing we're gonna say is based in anything other than the
No,
fact
of
that we
course, yeah.
have machine games and we have the Indiana Jones IP, and that's it. And I am no longer content with the hype.
Mm,
I think it's a little bit grating, and it's just I don't know. I think that recent games have burnt me on this and gotten me
mhm.
thrown directly off of the hype train. But I just think that there's a much smarter way to announce games, a more honest way to announce games, and communicate with your audience, not as a bunch of children who see things they recognize and get excited on Twitter,
Mhm.
but as actual people trying to engage with the art you're making. And this is just blatantly not that.
Yeah. So I actually think that the reason that this was announced today with the formation of Lucasfilms Games yesterday is just for them to say, hey, we're not only doing Star Wars. Because
Yeah.
as you said, a sizzle reel full of pre-existing Star Wars games is great, but it doesn't show a lot of variety. So when they're able to say, hey, we have this collaboration, probably far in the future, we have our new umbrella of Lucasfilms games, and it's going to be more than just us pumping out EA Star Wars games over and over again. So I think from that regard, it gives me a little bit of more hope for that umbrella company that they can try other things, that they can turn films into these and collaborate with all sorts of different companies, which is cool. Unfortunately, the context of this means that this game that is coming out eventually has no information, is left with a relatively vapid trailer that it is going to generate hype, but I think after a couple days, that's not going to be discussed until, oh shit, oh yeah, remember the Indiana Jones game? There's a trailer for it, dropped at the Xbox E3 or whatever. So yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see. I think it's just in my crosshairs because it's a larger issue, and frankly, I think there's ways to announce stuff really far in advance. Disney does this perfectly. When good old bald Kevin Feige gets up and is like, "Hey, here behind me on this wall are 14 Marvel films coming, and
Mhm.
then here's like 18 Star Wars projects we have that we're just gonna put in an investors conference." Like, there's a way to transparently give information far in advance,
Mhm.
but that's not what this industry does. That's not what the gaming industry is about. And Bethesda seemed like they were for a little while, and you called me and let me know that this trailer had come out because it just came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Bethesda seemed like they were kind of skirting around this with the Fallout 4 model of, okay, hey, here's our game. It's out in 4 months.
Mhm.
Let's have a conversation about it. Here's the details. Here's what you need to know. But now we're back with, of course, these are all different teams, but all of Bethesda projects are back with fucking Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6,
Yeah.
and now unnamed Indiana Jones game.
Mhm.
And it's like, come on. Especially because the Bethesda umbrella is not as strong as it used to be.
True. Yeah.
What, you're gonna tell me on the back of Rage 2 and Youngblood and Fallout 76 that I should just be excited on name alone that Bethesda's making a game?
Mhm.
No, not really. And I think with Ghostwire and with what's the other game that we're both
Deathloop.
excited about, Deathloop. See,
Yeah.
there's a huge spider on my wall, and it broke my concentration. It's very little. It's actually very vibey for an Indiana Jones discussion. Glad it's not snakes. But it's just that's the word of the day.
Ah.
Ah.
Yeah. But I think at the end that this our discussion here was mostly around the fact that the hype that the games industry is focused on can lead to some underwhelming trailers and to a little bit of an obnoxious release cycle in terms of information. And while I don't think this game is the most egregious form of it, And obviously, as I said, has been done for a multitude of reasons. It is emblematic of that information cycle and doesn't make it seem like that is going to change at any point in the future. So,
I mean, maybe they was going to get leaked. Maybe they had reason to believe that this was about to get dropped by Kotaku or something, and they wanted to get out ahead of it. I don't know. There could be something, but
we'll never know because the
I
trailer.
can't shrug. I can't shrug high enough to convey how just ambivalent I am towards this announcement.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for joining me and thank you for listening, guys. I hope you have some thoughts about this game. Leave it in the comments. If you have any criticisms or comments on what we said, leave that in the comments as well. At least I will be there in the comments, reading them and responding. And we have a Discord server that you can join if you'd like to talk to us further, as well as we make a lot of videos, which you can interact with us on. So subscribe and like this video, and we'll see you guys in more discussions.
I can promise you I will not respond to anything you say in the comment section, but if you do join the Discord, I will talk to you.
All right. Well, hopefully
Look at
that's
that
an incentive.
incentive.
Yeah.
Look at that incentive.
See you guys
Goodbye.
later.